Welcome to Jesus Christ Media. Today we are delving into the topic of important tear-filled prayers in the Bible. The Bible has several examples of prayers filled with tears, where people cried out to God in deep distress, sorrow, or heartfelt need. Here are a few significant tear-filled prayers in the Bible. Each example reveals the depth of human emotion, vulnerability, and reliance on God, showing how prayer can bridge the heartache of earth with the hope of heaven. Hannah's prayer of desperation. In 1 Samuel 1:10-11, Hannah, deeply anguished and in tears, pours out her heart to God, longing for a child. She prays with a promise, saying if God grants her a son, she will dedicate him to the Lord. Her heartfelt plea moves God, and he blesses her with Samuel, who becomes one of Israel's greatest prophets. Hannah's story shows that God is near to the brokenhearted and listens to our deepest desires. David's plea in the Psalms. King David often cried out to God from places of fear, guilt, and sorrow. In Psalm 6, verses 6-9, he describes his soul's agony, saying, "I am worn out from my groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping. Yet even in his brokenness, he trusts that the Lord has heard my cry for mercy." David's prayers remind us that God sees every tear and responds to those who seek him with open hearts. Jesus' prayer in Gethsemane. The night before his crucifixion, Jesus retreats to the Garden of Gethsemane and prays, deeply distressed and sweating drops of blood. Luke 22:44. His prayer in Matthew 26:36-39 is a surrender to God's will, even as he asks if the cup of suffering could pass from him. Jesus' cry to his Father is both vulnerable and powerful, reminding us that even in our darkest hours, we can seek God's strength and submit to his purpose. Jeremiah's lament for his people. Known as the weeping prophet, Jeremiah's tears flow as he mourns the destruction of Jerusalem. In Lamentations 3:48-50, he says, "My eyes overflow with rivers of water for the destruction of my people." His cry reflects a heart broken by the suffering around him, yet he clings to God's mercy. Jeremiah's prayers call us to care deeply for others, especially in times of collective sorrow. Hezekiah's prayer for healing. In 2 Kings 21-5, upon hearing that he will soon die, King Hezekiah turns his face to the wall and weeps bitterly, begging for more time. God hears his earnest prayer and grants him 15 additional years. Hezekiah's prayer shows that God's compassion extends to our physical pain and that he listens when we are most vulnerable. Israel's cry for freedom. In Exodus 2:23-25, the Israelites cry out under the burden of slavery in Egypt. God hears their groaning and remembers his covenant, leading to their deliverance through Moses. This collective cry reveals God's attentiveness to the oppressed and shows that he is faithful to those who call out for justice. Nehemiah's morning prayer. In Nehemiah 1:4-11, Nehemiah mourns upon hearing the walls of Jerusalem are in ruins. He fasts, weeps, and prays, confessing the sins of Israel and asking God to restore his people. His prayer exemplifies the power of humble intercession and the importance of aligning one's heart with God's will for restoration. These moments of tear-filled prayer emphasize that God is not only aware of our suffering, but is actively involved when we turn to him. Whether in personal desperation, collective anguish, or sorrow over others' pain, each story offers reassurance that God hears, understands, and responds to the cries of his people. Thanks for watching Jesus Christ Media. If you are inspired, like and share the video. If not subscribed, consider subscribing Jesus Christ Media channel. God bless.